Opening. She told me not to track her, so I stopped. My girlfriend told me, "Stop checking my location, it's controlling." I agreed and removed the app. Then the credit card company rang about suspicious activity charged at a resort 2 states away. I replied, "Maybe I should have been checking." Her mother's reaction to the screenshot I sent was blunt. "Stay home. She'll figure it out." Look, I don't feel proud of tracking my girlfriend's location. I know how it looks. But when someone behaves oddly for weeks, and you still have location sharing connected from when she insisted on it for safety, you look. Sue me. How it started. The argument about location sharing. 2 weeks earlier, at dinner, I asked Brittany where she'd been earlier. She'd told me she'd be at the gym, but her location showed someplace I didn't recognize. She snapped at me, accused me of being controlling, of being toxic, demanded privacy and independence, and said if I didn't trust her, we shouldn't be together. I sat with my cooling pasta thinking maybe she was right, that maybe I was overthinking. We'd been a couple for 18 months, and living together 6 of those months. She'd never given a concrete reason not to trust her before, just a gut feeling I'd had lately. So I told her I would stop checking. She looked relieved, said she appreciated my respecting boundaries. We finished dinner. She was suddenly cheerful and affectionate. I thought maybe things were improving. That night I deleted the Find My Friends app from my phone. Didn't disconnect the account, just removed the app. A symbolic gesture meant to reset things and show trust. Her schedule got strangely busy. Next morning she left early, said she had back-to-back meetings and might be late. She kissed me goodbye around 7:30 and left. I went to work, come home at 6 p.m. She's gone. Text at 8 p.m. Drinks with coworkers. Home around 11:30, a little tipsy, happy. We watch TV and go to bed. For a week, this pattern repeats. Late nights at work, drinks, yoga, errands. And I don't check her location, keeping my promise to be trusting. On Friday, she tells me she's going to visit her mom for the weekend. Patricia lives 3 hours away. Brittany typically visits maybe once a month. I tell her to say hi to her mom. She packs Friday after work and leaves. The credit card call, and the first red flag Saturday afternoon around 2 p.m. My phone rings. Unknown number. It's our credit card company, the joint card I added her to 6 months earlier. The agent asks about recent charges. $240 DYENNERON 4 THURSDAYATAN UPSCALEPLACEE. 240 dinner on Thursday, a tan upscale place. 380 at a boutique Friday morning. Friday afternoon, a $100 to $800 charge at a resort. The Ocean View Grand, premium suite for 2 nights. I ask where that resort is. 2 states away, a beach town. But Brittany told me she was visiting her mother 3 hours north. I say those aren't legitimate charges, and the agent begins an investigation and flags them as fraudulent. I hang up, Google the resort. Looks expensive, romantic. Spa, ocean views. Then I do something I promised I wouldn't. I reinstall Find My Friends, log in, and check her location. Dot on the map, right on top of the Ocean View Grand. I screenshot the location, time-stamped Saturday 2:47 p.m., then screenshot the credit card charges and the restaurant and boutique receipts. I text her, "Hey, how's your mom?" Her reply an hour later, "Good, we're just having lunch, catching up." I tell her my hello. She sends a heart emoji. I sit with the screenshots, the location, the charges, the text from Patricia not yet sent, and think about confronting her. Driving down 5 hours to confront seems dramatic. I don't even know who she's with. Then I remember her mom's number. Patricia has always been nice to me. I message Patricia. "Is Brittany with you this weekend?" Patricia replies quickly. "No, she said she was spending the weekend with you." I screenshot Patricia's reply and add it to my pile. Building evidence and waiting, I could show Brittany everything then and there, but I want to see how it unfolds. Saturday night she texts she's having a good time with her mom and might stay another night. I say fine. Sunday morning I get a transaction alert. Brunch at that resort for $86. Another screenshot. She sends me photos later that day of what she says is her and her mom. But the images are cropped oddly, so I can't see the other people's faces. Glimpses of a shoulder or an arm. Sunday evening she says she's heading back to her mom's and we'll drive home in the morning. I say, drive safe. She texts, I love you. I don't reply. Monday I call in sick and prepare. I print the screenshots. Location, card charges, Patricia's text, the cropped photos, and lay everything out in chronological order, like a presentation. I pack a week's worth of clothes and stow them by the door. I call my friend Steve and tell him I might crash at his. He says sure. At 1:15 p.m., Brittany walks in, sun-kissed, smiling. She leans in for a kiss. I don't stand. I point to the coffee table. Her face shifts from confusion to immediate panic as she scans the papers. She picks up the location screenshot, the charge list, the text from Patricia. She tells me, "This isn't what it looks like," then says she can explain. Went on a last-minute girls' trip with friends. Didn't tell me because she worried I'd be mad about the cost. Charges were split, and she'd reimburse me. I point to the Saturday timestamp and to Patricia's text. Patricia said Brittany wasn't at her place. Brittany starts crying and confesses she went with a guy from work. Just friends. He'd had a breakup. Nothing happened. I question why she booked one premium suite if they were just friends. She says it was cheaper, and they had separate beds. I point to the premium suite charge language. Premium suites generally have one king bed. She breaks down. I grab my bag and tell her I'm leaving. She begs me not to, promises therapy, says she'll cut off the guy. I ask his name. She won't say. I tell her to get her stuff out by the end of the week. The apartment is in my name. She isn't on the lease. I tell her I reported the credit card charges as fraud. She goes pale, says I can't do that. I say I already did. Immediate aftermath. Friends, family. The guy from the resort I drive to Steve's. He's furious on my behalf and offers me a beer and a couch. Brittany calls and texts nonstop. Apologies, pleadings. I don't respond. Patricia texts later. I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Take care of yourself. Then, stay home. She'll figure it out. I screenshot Patricia's message and send it to Brittany, then block her number. I also send Patricia all the screenshots. Brittany's friends message me on Facebook asking for context and pleading that everyone deserves a second chance. I don't answer. Her sister contacts me asking if we can talk. I say, Brittany's stuff can be collected Thursday after work. Tuesday, an unknown caller, a guy named Tyler, says he was the person who went to the resort with Brittany. He explains Brittany told him she was single and that they'd been seeing each other for about 3 weeks. She invited him on the trip after a breakup and said she'd cover expenses. He didn't pay, didn't know she was attached, and feels awful. He apologizes and says he wouldn't have gone if he'd known. He offers nothing I can use except honesty. I believe him. Wednesday, the fraud Dept calls again asking detailed questions. I explain I have location data, texts claiming she was elsewhere, Patricia's text contradicting Brittany, and credit card records. The investigator says that's substantial, and they'll reverse the charges, cancel the card, and that if Brittany tries to dispute it, criminal charges for credit card fraud are possible. She advises me to keep everything documented. I already have. Home confrontation escalates. Locksmith and police reports Thursday evening. Brittany's sister arrives to collect Brittany's things. While loading, the sister reveals Brittany has a history of similar behavior. Multiple men, different stories, always thinking she's cleverer than everyone. She suggests the family isn't shocked by this pattern anymore. She finishes packing and leaves with Brittany's belongings. Friday, my boss calls me into his office and tells me someone claiming to be my girlfriend phoned about harassment concerns. He didn't divulge anything but warned me that she had called, told him she was worried about her safety, and asked whether I'd been weird at work. I show my boss the screenshots to explain the situation. He tells me to document any further calls and says he'll handle it if she continues contacting me at work. That night, Brittany shows up at Steve's where I'm staying. Steve refuses to let her in and calls the police when she refuses to leave. Officers take a report and give me an incident number. They advise me to change locks and to call if she returns. Saturday, I decide to go back to my apartment to grab clothes. Brittany's car is outside. I go in. She's inside and claims the place is hers too. She still has a key. I ask for it. She refuses to give it up unless we talk. I call the police from the parking lot. She throws the key at me and runs out, driving off before the police arrive. The officers file a trespassing report and advise me again to change the locks. I do. $300, but it restores my sense of ownership and safety. Family involvement, work fallout, and her attempts to reconcile Patricia calls later to apologize and confirms she doesn't defend Brittany's actions. She says Brittany is blaming me and won't take responsibility. Patricia tells me she's told Brittany to stop contacting me. That helps. Steve suggests I move back into my apartment. I do. It's quiet. Mine. And I sleep in my bed. For a while, there's no contact. Then, an unknown number sends a long message explaining Brittany's in therapy and apologizing. I block the number but keep a screenshot for my records. A month later, I run into Tyler at a coffee shop. We compare notes and become friends. 3 months after everything broke, I see Brittany's car outside the building once. She's sitting inside. I don't engage. An hour later, she's gone. Later, I learn she moved away, started fresh elsewhere. Good for her. I genuinely hope she sorts herself out. Resolution. Charges reversed. Lessons learned. The credit card company closed their investigation, reversed the charges, canceled the card, and found no fraud on my part. Brittany never disputed the reversals, likely on advice from family or counsel. Patricia's text, "Stay home. She'll figure it out," resonated far more than any evidence because it showed even her own mother recognized the pattern and felt Brittany needed to face consequences. So yes, I stopped checking her location like she wanted, and that's how she figured it out. People ask if I regret reporting the charges or pushing back. I don't. She misled multiple people. Me, her mother, the man she took on the trip, spinning different stories to each. I trusted my instincts rather than the guilt she tried to force on me for being controlling. Trust but verify isn't abusive. When behavior is suspicious and defensive, documenting it is sensible. I kept records, filed reports, changed locks, and protected myself. In the end, my life stabilized. I spent more time with friends, went to the gym, got back to myself, and learned to trust my instincts again.